Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated Hierotek Circle rules for the new edition of Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful and helpful? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But yeah, I'm going over the free Hierotek Circle rules, which you can find on Warhammer Community, as well as on the Kill Team app. So let's get on with seeing how these new Necrons fare. For your roster, you still have Recon and Security, which is, in my opinion, the best combination at the moment. So very, very good there. You can select up to, well, it's an 8 operative kill team. So you've got a Hierotek Circle leader, which can either be the Chronomancer, either with the Aeon Stave and Entropic Lance, or Entropic Lance, not both, the Psychomancer or the Technomancer. Then you can have the Plasma Sight Accelerator and the Reanimator. Then you've got 5 other operatives you can take, which are the Apprentice, Despotech, Deathmark, and the Despotech can either have a Gauss Blaster or Tesla Carbine, and then Guardians with either Gauss Blaster or Tesla Carbines. I believe the Eldar are going to sue. Then other than Deathmark and Guardian operatives, Kill Team include each operative only once. So it's all unchanged, it's all the same. A very 8 operative Xenos elite kill team. For faction rules, you have reanimation protocols. The first time each friendly operative is incapacitated, before it's removed from the kill zone, place one of your reanimation markers within its control range, then remove it as incapacitated, also removing any tokens and rules effects it had, e.g. Chronomancer's Chronometron action, poison tokens, APL stat changes, being implanted, and so on. In the ready step of each strategy phase, select one of your reanimation markers and roll a d6. On a 1 to 2, leave that reanimation marker in the kill zone and repeat the process with a different one of your reanimation markers. On a 3-up, that operative is reanimated. You can only select each one of your reanimation markers once per turning point, and once you roll a 3+, you don't select any more for that turning point. Whenever an operative is reanimated, set up the operative that reanimation marker was placed for. It must be placed within 3 inches of that reanimation marker and not within control range of enemy operatives. If you cannot do so, treat the roll as 1 to 2 instead. It has D3 plus 1 wounds remaining. It has an order of your choice, and then you remove that reanimation marker. As reanimated operatives are no longer incapacitated for the purposes of the kill-up, that means your opponent kill grade can go down during the battle and they lose VP accordingly. However, it won't retroactively change any other victory points your opponent scored from TAC ops. This is quite interesting. It still triggers the first time someone's incapacitated, but how it's changed now, every time someone dies, they drop a reanimation token, so it's always active, which is how it should have always worked. But once you roll a reanimation for someone, you stop, and then keep on going. So you kind of have to hope you roll 3-up for the first operative that you want. Then you've got Magnify. Some Hierotek Circle operatives and Hierotek Circle Cryptek weapons in this team's rules have the Magnify weapon rule below. So Magnify is whenever this operative performs the shoot action with this weapon, if another friendly Apprentice or Cryptek operative has an engage order and is visible to this operative, you can treat the operative as the active operative for determining a valid target. If you do, this weapon has the ceaseless weapon rule till the end of that action. That is unchanged, and the neat thing here is you can choose someone in control range of the enemy operative and suddenly fire beams through people hiding in combat. It's very good, and you get ceaseless both ways. Then you've got Living Metal. In the ready step of each strategy phase, after resolving all other rules of step, including reanimation protocols, each friendly Hierotek Circle operative gains D3 plus 1 lost wounds, rolling separately. So now you reanimate, then you come back with Living Metal. So at worst, you come back with 4 wounds. At best, you come back with 8, which is really good. For strategy ploys, you have Relentless Onslaught. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting an operative within 8 inches of it, that friendly ranged operative's weapons have the balanced weapon rule. Note that when you're using the Magnify weapon rule, this operative still must be within 8 inches of the target to use this rule and not the other friendly operative. This is buffed. It used to be 6 inches range, now it's 8 inches. Then you've got Undying Androids. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Hierotek Circle operative, if you cannot retain any cover saves, you can retain one of your defense dice as normal, as a normal success without rolling it. This is unchanged. Then you've got Methodical Elimination. Friendly operatives' melee weapons have the accurate 1 weapon rule. When a friendly Hierotek Circle operative is fighting during an activation which it hasn't moved more than its movement stat, or whenever it's retaliating, its melee weapons have the accurate 2 rule instead, which is very good, a much better buff for your melee. Then you've got Command Underlings. Select one of the following. Support. Each other friendly Hierotek Circle operative visible and within 6 inches of a friendly Cryptek operative can immediately perform a free dash action in an order of your choice. And then another support. Each friendly operative, excluding the Cryptek, visible and within 3 inches of a friendly Apprentech operative, can immediately perform a free dash action of your choice. So either you pick everyone within 6 inches of your Cryptek or 6 inches of your Apprentech. So you can have a nice bubble of dashes around the kill zone, which is really, really useful. For firefight ploys, you have cortical control. Use this firefight ploy when an Apprentech or Cryptek operative performs the support unique action. Until the end of that action, for the purposes of selecting another friendly operative, ignore the distance requirement, so only visibility is requirement. Really good. Just control someone you can see. Then you've got reanimated function. Use this firefight ploy when determining control of a marker. Select one of your reanimation markers until the start of the next turning point. Whenever determining control of a marker, treat the reanimation marker as a friendly Hierotek Circle operative that has an APL stat of 1. So this is actually pretty good for like your tac ops, especially like confirm kill, which is funny, as well as securing objectives all the way across the board. Really good. Then you've got Living Lightning. Use this ploy when a friendly Immortal operative is performing the shoot action and you select a Tesla Carbine. Until the end of that action, that weapon doesn't have the 2 inches devastating rule 2, but has the blast 2 weapon rule instead, which is crazy. You just suddenly go, I'm a blast today. Very, very good. Then you've got Dimensional Ambush. Use this firefight ploy during a friendly Death Marks activation. If it has a conceal order, during that activation, that operative can perform the guard action, see the close quarters rules, in any kill zone, and while it has a conceal order, but when you perform the free fight or shoot action during that interruption, you must change its order to engage. So you just spend the CP to go on guard. Amazing. Like, so good while on conceal. That's incredibly powerful. For your leaders, you have the Chronomancer, so all Crypteks have free APL, a 6-inch move, a free up save, which used to be a 4-up save, I believe. No, it did used to be a 3-up save, ignore me, and 14 wounds, so they used to be 13. So this one has the Aeon Stave, which has 5 attacks, Xenon freeze, free, blast 2, lethal 5 up, stun, magnify, or the Entropic Launch, which is 4 attacks, Xenon freeze, 5 free, devastate, 3 piercing, 1 magnify. Then it's got the melee profile of the Aeon Stave, which is 4 attacks, Xenon force, 4 lethal 5 up, shock, which has gone up in attack, and then the Entropic Lance, which is 4 attacks, Xenon force, 6. It's got Interstitial Command, which all Crypteks share. So for 1 action point, it's a support action. Select 1 friendly Hierotek Circle operative, excluding the Apprentech and Cryptek, visible and within 6 inches of this operative, or within 6 inches of a friendly Despotech operative that's visible to them. That selected operative can immediately perform a free 1 action point action for free. It cannot move more than 2 inches during that action, perform an action it's already performed during this turning point, or perform an action again during this turning point. So you can effectively have someone shoot out of sequence, move out of sequence, pop a point. Very, very useful. Then you've got Time Splinter for 1 action point. As a support, select 1 friendly Hierotek Circle operative visible and within 6. Remove it from the kill zone and set it up within 6 inches of this operative, measuring horizontal distance only in a location it can be placed. Each operative can only be selected for this action once per turning point. So it's just a slingshot. You move 6 inches in front of someone with the back of your base, and then teleport them 6 inches from the front. And considering everyone's 40 millimeters for the Chronomancer, that's really good mobility. Then you've got the Contemporary Nanomine. Place for 1 action point, place one of your Nanomine markers visible to this operative, or an vantage point terrain feature that's visible to this operative. Whenever an enemy operative is within 6 inches of your Nanomine marker, subtract 2 inches from its move stat. When this operative is next activated or is incapacitated or this action is performed again, you can remove it. Why did they buff this? This is back to being a larger than 12-inch bubble, and instead of having a range limitation, you just pick somewhere. Pick anywhere. I don't think this will last because you can just slow drop zones. The interesting thing, because now it's a mod you subtract, I don't think it can lower someone below 4 inches of movement. So like Votan and stuff will be 4 inches instead of like 3. But my gosh, you just pick someone's drop zone that's visible and just nuke their movement because it's a 12-inch bubble because there's 6-inch radius. So they just need to reduce it in size and maybe make it a range restriction. But otherwise, the Nanomine's crazy. Then you've got the Chronometron. As a support, select 1 friendly operative that's visible and within 6 until the start of this operative next activation, until it's incapacitated or whatever. You subtract 1 from the attack stat of an operative's weapon whenever it's shooting at or fighting against or retaliating against a friendly operative that's selected for this. So effectively, someone shoots you with a 4 attack dice weapon, goes down to 3 attack dice. Even in melee, they're -1 to hit. This is really, really good. I think it's a better version of what it used to be before. And outside of the Nanomine, I like the changes to the Chronomancer to make it more useful, which is very, very good. These seem to like more balanced takes apart from the Nanomine. Interestingly, all Crypteks lost fly, so now this just moves normally 6 inches. Just slinks around, hovering. Then you've got the Psychomancer, who has an Abyssal Lance, which is 5 attacks in on freeze, 2/2 blast 2, 2-inch devastating 2, devastating 1. And then you've got Piercing 2, Magnify, Devastating 1 in melee with its Abyssal Lance, which is 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 4/4. I think this is the first instance we've seen Devastating on a melee weapon. Then you've got Interstitial Command, which is unchanged. You've got Harbinger of Despair. Place one of your Despair markers visible to this operative on a Vantage Terrain feature. When this operative is next activated or incapacitated, or you perform this again, you remove that marker. Whenever an enemy operative is within 2 inches of your Despair marker, your opponent must spend 1 additional action point for that enemy operative to perform the pickup marker or mission action markers. When determining control of a marker, treat the APL stat of enemy operatives as -1, and note this isn't a modifier, so it can stack with other changes. This is a lot better. It doesn't have a short range restriction. You just pick someone across the board and then go like, not only you +1 to do mission actions, you're -1 to control the point, and it's got crazy range, so really good for like playing the crit up primaries. Then you've got Nightmare Shroud for 1 action point. Until the start of this operative's next activation, or until it's incapacitated, or until it does this action again, whenever an operative is within 8 inches of this operative shooting, fighting, or retaliating, your opponent cannot reroll their attack dice and cannot retain attack dice as or change attack dice as to critical successes, so criticals must be retained as normal. It used to be a 6-inch bubble. This is very powerful, so no matter what your opponent is rolling, they only roll normals. It is an 8-inch bubble, so it's kind of risky, but it's all right. Then you've got Visions of Madness for 1 action point. Select an enemy operative that's visible, and they gain 1 of your Madness tokens as the above actions. Whenever your opponent would activate that enemy operative, or that has 1 of your Madness tokens, you can roll 1d6. If the roll is equal to or higher than the enemy operative's APL stat, they cannot activate during this activation. If the operative is successfully activated, or there are no other enemy operatives to be activated, remove that marker. So effectively, against the free APL model, it's a 50-50% chance to stop it activating, but it's really good against 2 APL models, and especially against like key 2 APL models. They keep rolling until they either you roll a 1 or a 2. No, if you roll a 1 or 2, otherwise it just keeps going, which is very good. Then you've got the Technomancer as a Staff of Light, which is 6 attacks in on freeze, 3/4 rending magnified. This actually lost piercing 1, I believe. And then the melee profile, which is 4 attacks in on force, 3/5 rending. It's got Interstitial Command. It's got Canoptic Repair. It's a support action. Select a friendly Hierotek Circle operative within 6 to regain 3d3 lost wounds, which is amazing. A super heal. Then you've got Augment Weapon as a support. Select one of your friendly operatives visible and within 6 until the start of this operative's activation until it's incapacitated. Select 2 of the following weapon rules for that weapon to have. So you can either have Lethal 5-up, Rending, Saturate, or Severe. So Severe and Saturate is very good, or Severe and Rending. Then you've got Reinforced Metal as a support. Select 1 friendly operative within 6. Whenever an attack dice inflicts 3 or more damage, just -1 damage. Really, really good. I think the Technomancer has had a huge glow up. Not only is it a super healer, but it's got really good buffs in terms of making operatives actually better in shooting, or generally just more tough. So I think the Technomancer is very, very viable, except the only downside is on a 50mm base. Then you've got your Plasmacyte Accelerator, who has 2 APL, 7-inch move, 5 up save, and 5 wounds. It has lost fly, which sucks. It's a scuttler, so it has super conceal. It can fall back for 1 AP, and it can't use any weapons that aren't on its data card, and it can't do any other unique actions other than accelerate. So it's got Spark, which is 4 attacks on 4s, 2/3, range 4, piercing 1, and Claws, which are 3 attacks on 5s, 1/2. It can accelerate. So select a friendly death mark or a mortal operative visible and within 6 to get +1 APL. So this is actually nerfed. It used to be 0 AP. It's now 1 AP. So you've got a lot of less mobility, although it is, motility, but it's faster, but it's lost fly. So it's got some trade-offs. It's still good flying comms. Just remember it can't affect your Prentech or Cryptech. Then you've got your Reanimator, who has an Atomizer Beam, which is 4 attacks on 4s, 3/4, range 6, lethal 5 up. And then Claws, which are 3 attacks on 5s, 1/2. It's got the same scuttler rules as the Plasmacyte Accelerator. Then it's got the Reanimate action, which is either 1 or 2 action points. So select one of your reanimation markers visible and within 6. Roll a dice on a 3-up. It's reanimated. If you spend an additional action point, that friendly operative is automatically reanimated. An operative that's reanimated and was expended sets up as expended again. But the interesting thing, if someone kills someone who's ready, you can just immediately reanimate them for 2 action points, and then they can go and activate. So your Plasmacyte is now, can't use this on itself, obviously, but you really want to keep it near just healing people. Like, The fact it can bring people back even if your opponent alpha strikes them first is really, really good. And I like how the reanimator works now. It's amazing. Just rolling, like, there's probably going to be instances when you give the plasma sight gives it, oh no, the plasma sight can't give it +1 APL. So you have to get into position really quickly, but you can use it with like your strategy deploy dashes to get into there. So the plasma sight reanimator is so good. Then you've got your Hierotek, who has 3 APL, a 6-inch move, a 3-up save, and 11 wounds. It's got the Arcane Conduit, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 4/5 piercing, 1 magnify, and the Arcane Conduit, which is 3 attacks, hit on force, 3/5. It's got a Prentek Assistance. This operative has the same unique actions as your Cryptek operative, but can only perform 1 Cryptek unique action per turning point. So your Prentek is still great. 3 APL, move 6 inches. Great. Then you've got your Death Mark, who has 2 APL, 5-inch move, 3-up save, and 10 wounds. It's got Synaptic Disintegrator, which is 4 attacks in on 2s, 4/3, Devastating 2, heavy dash only, piercing 1, severe. So this used to be 4/4, Devastating 1. It's technically the same, but otherwise a little buff. It now just comes with severe, which is so good. So you're always proccing at least 1 Devastating 2 with every hit. It's got Fist, which is 3 attacks in on freeze, 3/4. It's got Death Marked. Whenever an operative performs a shoot action, that target gains 1 of your Death Mark tokens if it wasn't incapacitated. Whenever a friendly Death Mark operative is shooting an enemy operative with 1 of your Death Mark tokens, they have Seek. So if you take more than 1 Death Mark, you're going to be able to just blast them away, which is really good. Then you've got Multi-Dimensional Vision. For 1 action point until the start of this operative's next activation, enemy operatives can't be obscured. Very, very good. Your Death Mark is considerably better. It doesn't need silent because it's just so tough. And actually, I think you probably take more Death Marks now. Probably 2 to 3 Death Marks. They are very good. Then you've got your Despotek, which is 2 APL, 5-inch move, 3-up save, and 11 wounds. He has a Gorse Blaster, which is 4 attacks in on freeze, 4/5 piercing 1. Tesla Carbine, which is 5 attacks in on freeze, 3/3 devs 2 inches, devastating 1. Bayonet, which is 4 attacks in on freeze, 3/4. Steadfast, whenever determining control of a marker, you can treat this operative stat as APL free. So it's not a modifier, so it can stack with modifiers. Then you've got Interstitial Command for 1 action point. As a support, select 1 other friendly Hierotek Circle operative, excluding a Prentek or Cryptek, visible and within 6. That selected operative can immediately perform 1 action point action for free, but cannot move than 2 inches and cannot perform an action it's already performed during the turning point or again during this turning point. So he actually got nerfed. He lost his free reroll, but now gets Interstitial Command, so it just allows you to spread out along the board. So I think that's a fair trade-off. He did used to hit on freeze, and I believe he did used to have 12 wounds. So he's gone down a wound, but still quite useful. Then you've got your Immortal Guardian, who has 2 APL, 5-inch move, 3-up save, and 10 wounds, can have a Gorse Blast or a Tesla Carbine, and has the same Steadfast rule. It's kind of a shame. The Immortal Guardians are fine. Like, they still move 3 inches. I really like the Gorse Blaster, and the Tesla Carbine is great now as a blast profile, especially on Gallodark. But they have lost a bit of their edge. For faction equipment, you've got Magnification Conduits. Once per turning point, when a friendly Hierotek Circle, a Prentek or Cryptek operative is spawned the shoot action, you can use this rule. If you do, select 1 other friendly operative, excluding those plasma sites, that has an engage order, and it's visible to that friendly operative. Till the end of the action, the other friendly operative can be treated as active for the Magnify weapon rule. This is crazy, and you always take it, because all of a sudden you go like, I'm not going to fire through my Prentek, I'm going to fire through this Immortal or Death Mark. Very, very good, especially for Death Marks in position, but they have to have an engage order. But really good. Then you've got the Phase Shifter. Once per turning point, when an operative is shooting a friendly Cryptek operative in the start of the roll defense die step, you can use this rule. If you do so, worsen the piercing X roll by 1 until the end of that sequence. Note that piercing 1 would therefore be ignored. This is amazing, so you always take this as long as your opponent has piercing. Then you've got the Tesseract Cube from the Avengers. In the ready step of each strategy phase, when you gain a command point, if a friendly Cryptek operative isn't incapacitated and is in control range and hasn't been reanimated this turning point, you can use this rule. Roll a d6. On a 1, you cannot use this rule for the rest of the battle. On a 4-up, you gain 1 CP. Once you've gained 2 CP from this rule, you cannot use it for the rest of the battle. Very, very good. Extra command points are great. Then you got Tesla Weave. Whenever an enemy operative earns charge within control range of this enemy operative, they take D3 damage on it for each friendly operative within its control range. So if they somehow charged 3 Hierotek Circle operatives, they would take 3d3 damage. This is really, really good. Like, a great selection of equipment. I generally think you always take Magnification Conduits, probably Phase Shifter, and definitely the Tesseract Cube. And then the Tesla Weave you probably take more into melee teams and elite teams. Otherwise, this is really nice. You have lost lethal 5-up in close combat for your Immortals and Despotek, but they have other ways around that. For the Operative Selection, this is no longer a one-box kill team. I don't think it ever was a one-box kill team. Unfortunately, this is a weird, complicated kill team. If you buy the box, you get the Technomancer and then the 7 of the Operatives. But you really want to buy a Chronomancer. I have the Psychomancer. One day the Psychomancer will be useful, but I don't think it's today. Not even into Horde teams, to be honest. The Chronomancer is just way too good, as well as the Technomancer. So you would want the Chronomancer and you would want the Technomancer. Then obviously you build the Plasma Sight and the Reanimator and Accelerator. From your 5 Hierotek Circle Operatives, I'd build an Apprentech, a Deathmark, an Apprentech, the Despotech. So that leaves you 3 more other Operatives to build. So in that case, I would probably build 1 Immortal, probably with a Ghost Blaster or Tesla, and then 2 Deathmarks, right? So what you actually want to do is I would personally buy another box of Immortals. So I would use the Hierotek Circle box to build all the Immortals and the Despotechs, and then use the other box of Immortals you'll buy to build Deathmarks, because Deathmarks are very good. I think you now want 2 Deathmarks minimum. They're just so good. They dash around, hitting on 2s, deleting people, giving everyone like Seek. Really good on stuff like Vocus, not great on Beta Decima, but your Deathmarks are just too good. But on stuff like Gallowdark, you would prefer to go more Guardians with Teslas, including your Despotech, because then they will get lethal 5-up because of their devastating 2-inch rule, which is really, really good. They're a very expensive and flexible team, but in my opinion, into elites, the Technomancer is so good at keeping you alive and in the game and buffing Operatives. I think the Chronomancer and Technomancer are tied, although I still think the Chronomancer is still really good. But into elites, I'd probably take the Chronomancer because there's a better shooting profile, and I'd take the Entropic Lance. Then I would take, obviously, the 2 Plasma Sights. I would take an Apprentech, 2 Deathmarks, a Despotech with the Ghost Blaster, and then Guardian with the Ghost Blaster. But if you're into Hordes, I would actually probably take the Technomancer, although you can get some usage out of the Chronomancer. But I think in that kind of like endurance game, the Technomancer will be more useful. And then you go like 2 Deathmarks, an Apprentech, Despotech with Tesla, and then a Guardian with Tesla. So that's why you need all these. They are a very toolkit team in terms of where you need to design your composition based on your opponent and the map. But they are now very durable, and they're not as oppressive as they were before, but they're really good. So for the Hierotek Circle overview, they're really, really good. I like the position they're in. There's some minor confusion, like I'm pretty sure the Nanomine just needs a rain restriction and going back to a 6-inch bubble with a 3-inch radius. That would be very greatly appreciated, but the team is a lot better. I feel they're way more thematic. Deathmarks are finally threatening instead of just scooping going like, I exist to forward deploy and usually get charged and die. You get recon and security, which is very good. They play security really well. They play recon really well as well. Very useful kill team. You've kind of lost the ability to drain APL from Operatives and do crazy stuff with your Cryptex. Your Cryptex are more honest because they lost Fly as well as your Plasma Sights, so they actually are a lot slower. But your kill team is actually a little bit more slower, but more durable. And that's the great thing. And I really like actually taking the Technomancer, flying around, making you better at healing, buffing Operatives, making them harder to kill. Whereas the Chronomancer is better at slowing down Operatives on really dense boards and like picking stuff apart, especially with stun. Very, very useful. And I think Deathmarks are so good. The Despotech is okay. It's a little worse. And the team's lost its insane durability. Your reanimation's much more fairer, but you really need to keep that reanimator safe, and usually within 6 inches of key Operatives. You have lots of tricks, like if opponent kills a ready Operative, you can immediately use your reanimator to bring them back, and then shoot again, which is good. But remember, each Operative can only be reanimated once, but they're really, really fun. Even though the Psychomancer is pretty not great, I think it's amazing. It's like, it's got all these crazy support abilities, its weapons just aren't that good. And I think it might be, in the long run, slightly better into elites, but it's better into 2 APL problematic teams. So oddly, depending on like the Tank Buster kill team, considering most of them will be 2 APL, the Psychomancer actually might be really good into them. But I like how the kill team is. Everyone feels really, really good and not in a crazy oppressive way. They will reanimate, but one at a time, but always someone will reanimate. But that's pretty much it for me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you think of Hierotek Circle. What do you think of them in the new edition? I remember I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, and a affiliate link at Element Games, and a affiliate link at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Zombie Businessman, Tom, Super Cow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meets World, Darcy, Dad of Golden's Chris, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja, Ryan, and Mark. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, I'm liking Hierotek Circle. I've fully painted the kill team. I just need to finish some of my death marks and another of my Tesla Warriors, because I like WYSIWYG. But yeah, they look really interesting. It's just getting, like, after playing against them with fly all the time, it's like traumatic to realize they don't have fly. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, they don't have fly anymore. They can't abuse me like they did. But they feel honest to play against in a good way, and I like the tricks they have, apart from the infinite range nano mine. But you can't dash out of it. It's depressing. But, you know, it's good. I think they just need the minor tweaks there, and I think they're finally in a good spot where they're durable, they are tough, but not in an oppressive way, which is great, and I wish more of their kill teams were like this. But remember, no matter how many Undying Necrons you're playing against, there's always a chance to win, as long as you can roll a crit.